Hey, welcome back. This is Jim Rivers for Sonic Academy. As we continue in the tutorial sessions I've been doing, as you can see on this one, there's quite a different look to the last couple of videos. I've jumped on a couple of steps in terms of the arrangement, but I'm going to go through and break down some of what I've done, as you could just sit here and watch me copy and pasting, which is pretty dull. But like I said before, the arrangement is so critical in converting what can sometimes be what you think is a great idea in a loop into something that's actually strong as a track. And we kind of looked a little bit at that last time, and how small subtle changes can work or make things sound really guff, to be honest. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff that's been sketched out here now. Sort of an intro and up to kind of a breaky thing here. So we're going to focus on this first section between 1 and 129 in this session, and I'll just go into a few little things and this kind of approach and sound that I'm after. So So as you can hear, I kind of evolved from doing just beats for too long. I've got, as you can see, a couple of progressions of the beats here, and then quite early on I wanted to get this pad section in. For me, this whole pad is the real underpinning part that kind of glues the whole track together. So my plan was always going to be to, as I said before, manipulate the sounds that I have rather than just chucking loads more. Now, there's not loads of tracks in this. A lot of this is broken down because I've got individual percussion parts that I've got coming in and out, and that's probably about as much as I would ever have anyway. And then we've got the pad doubled up, as I showed you before, where we've got just things moving on an extreme right and an extreme left to give it a bit more width. And then we've got this other one as well, the other sound that I kind of affected a bit more over the top to make it sound quite different, which you'll remember when it comes in. Then we've got our bass sound down here, which was kind of that rhomboid sort of vibe that I was going for, electro-y, but I don't know, it just fits really nicely with the pads that we've got. And then an additional thing here as well, which is just simply a subby part to the bass as well. I felt like it needed a little bit more oomph, if you like, at certain points. So I don't bring that in straight away. I'll bring that in here. I think I'll bring that in with like maybe one of the other cymbals or something. So always thinking about how different parts can add something to what's going on. So we started it off quite deep, and you'll see as well some of the automation that I've got going on here. That's the bass. Let's go up to the pad. So you can see with the pad, it's just all very subtle stuff. So let me play a little bit of it so you can hear. So I'm really into subtly setting stuff up, especially in a track like this where the pads and the overall sound of it is very kind of, I don't know, smooth and deep, if you like. It's not as brash as some of the more techno-y stuff I do, where I change things up quite quickly and things can be quite in your face. This has got a smooth kind of feel to it, I guess. So, you know, it's just a case of working in the pad here. I don't know why I didn't curve that really. That's probably where Logic has copied the automation, but just curving in the pad as it comes in before the bass line. And up here as well, I just did, you know, I muted the last 4 kicks of the bar. Just real little simple things like that always seem to work. What you might have noticed on this here as well is that the loop here isn't absolutely perfect, or it kind of cuts off halfway through, but that's all to do with the position of where I wanted the pad. Rather than the pad striking bang on the beginning of the bar. I like it when it comes in slightly before the bar, and I'm a big fan of sounds and things that trigger not always straight on. They have like kind of what they call it is it's pushing a little bit, so it just has a different feel to it. So that's why that looks like it's cut in a funny place, but it still plays perfectly. So we come into the bass section, and also you will see on the bass we've also got some more automation. So I would suggest, without looking now, that this part here is leading up to another element coming in that takes the track up maybe just another notch. So if we have a listen, we'll see. Okay, yeah, so just a little subtle kind of part that comes up there, and then the tambourine. The tambourines and shakers, as I said before, they for me always add kind of, I don't know, a subtle element of intensity, because they just, they're very, very rhythmical, and it's the 16th pattern that shuffles things along, and I'm into that kind of shuffling sound. So by this point, we've got quite a lot of the rhythmic parts in. You know, you've got some of the perk knocks and the plops and the pops. In the older version, I had them all labelled down here, but I've been a bit lazy in this one, but never mind. And we've got the tambourine that's just come in there. The shaker's been in for a while. We've got the first part of the bass. And then the next part here is these parts have come in, but you can't even hear them. And that's, again, down to the automation, which I believe on this one is... let's have a look. The low cut frequency. Yeah, okay. So on both of these two here, I've got the automation on here, starting very, very high in terms of frequency on the low cut frequency. So basically that means you can hardly hear it at all. It's like we've cut nearly all the sound out. So it's going to come in from a very high filter position, down in and sweep down, and you'll begin to hear the sound more and more and more and more until we get to this point here. And you can see again, as this comes down, the automation on the bright synth is going up, and the automation also on the bass is also going up. So we've got different parts coming to a point. Now at this point here, probably one of the hats or something comes in, and again the idea is to try and evolve the track, take it up another little notch. But again, with the vibe of the track, it's quite smooth, it's quite subtle. So let's just have a little listen to that. Yes, those bits there sound really nice. I love the harmonics in this sound. That's got a lot to do with the crystallize effect, this one, that we used on it, that has a pitch function here on it that just changes the whole tone of the sound. And because I pitched the original sample to be in key with the bright synth part here, but it wasn't, it was kind of like in a harmonic in key as well, if you know what I mean. And the crystallizer effect here has just emphasised that, and it gives it that kind of rhythmic part to it as well, which I really, really like. So, you know, as you can see, there's a pattern to what I've done with this pad. As I rise it up and I drop it down again, there's something nice about this pad being filtered, and it's the other elements that kind of work off it. So in this instant, both of this sound has come down, the low cut has come down and brought it completely in, so we've now got it playing at its normal frequency, whereas the pad is going up and dropping down, and the bass here is going up, but rather than dropping it straight down, I've curved it off, because sometimes if you just drop it straight off, it sounds a bit weird. So if I move this without the curve like that, let's have a listen. See, to me that sounds a little bit jerky. And again, it's all to do with the vibe of the track. You have to arrange music based on the parts that you've got and the vibe that you're going for. I can't emphasise that enough. And also here, the sub bass has come in, which is just a real simple sub sound out of the strobe. That almost sounds a little bit detuned. You will find that quite often when you put stuff into real subby synths and stuff, it can sound like it's detuned. The easiest way, obviously, is I just copied this one and put it a couple of octaves down and used a sub in here. Sometimes you'll find that you think that one of the keys is completely out. It isn't necessarily out, but if you're ever unsure or you're writing a sub to go with something, you can't find it, rather than writing it in the low octave that you actually want it, write it in a couple of octaves up so you can hear the notes much more cleanly. And once you're happy, then drop it down to the octave that you want, and then you'll know that the sub is in the correct key, and all sitting there fine. So that sub just underpins what's going on. So if I just solo these two, you'll hear. So it's very subtle, and it's one of those things you have to be careful with, which I'll explain in another video. When you're looking at EQing kick drums and basses and subs, you kind of want to leave room for different parts to come in. And again, it always depends on the approach you're going for with the sound and the thing that you're going for. So that's what we're going to get to for this video. The next video I'm going to show you the breakdown, where I progress the track, and then we'll start looking at some of the mixing bits, the effects and things like that, as the track evolves. So thanks for tuning in. I've been Jim Rivers and this is Sonic Academy.